Charge up your game with excitement. Highest odds on the market. Coverage of all live and pre-match events. Place your bets with Solid Bookmaker and win with your favorite teams. Take what's rightfully yours.
We're joining in time. We're joining to see nothing else than Optic or Sprout fight for a slot in the European Minor. Their ticket to again get to the Major. The Germans most definitely want to play in front of their home crowd later in the tournament. Struggling to take home Nuke after being victorious on Mirage. So Optic doing a solid job over there on Nuke. As it looked a little shaky towards the end. The amount of T rounds they got gave them a great advantage, and then in the end they were able to finish off the Germans. Now Sprout sending their mates more over to the long area of this map. Tassus waits back on site, looks to tap down more, makes that one work, and immediately through the smoke gets shut down. This means good night for the player who's actively defending the site. Nico joins, but rather realizes he's not going to have too much of an enjoyment once he runs into the Glocks. And Optic, they really got to set up a great retake, with MSL having a kit opportunity of a late defuse is in, and that's good night for Merbit. And more to come from the German force as they're taking down one after another, though problems might occur by now. Turbulence is on the A side, leaving Speedy there on long. He's now going to have a bit of information. Keita taps one down and refreshes. Players left, right, and center. He retreats, and the best thing he can do is look for exits if that is even happening. But Sprout, no problemo. And double scout on Optic, I enjoyed it a lot actually. One thing I really like to see. Could be a game changer, doesn't need to be obviously. And so the damage they can deal though in combination with the Deagles might be disgusting for Sprout. I mean, if you imagine that they're running through to get like a few players tagged, which is possible obviously. And things start to look a little darker and comfortable. That's just wait. I mean, he hears that. He waited out patiently. First tag comes in. Merbit down. Punishment served by Keto. Optic's rotation slowly but steady comes. Speedy waits back in tunnels. He, by the way, used to be a big lurking individual back when he was not IGLing. That was back when Sprout still had Danes on the team. And knock on the back door. The German trying to approach the B apartments, part of the B site. It's gonna be beheaded. And whilst that is happening, Long is right now under contest. Fighting their way through. And looking to not get tagged overall. But there comes the boost. Refresh. Is he really gonna find a frag? Not at all. Searson immediately with the punishment, and that means that defense remains strong. Sprouts are not even showing a sign of weakness. Brilliant move. Here comes number 2. And you have to say, and I personally feel like the German squad right here has many supporters after them. Proud to be Sprout is their hashtag. Of course, green wall never to be underestimated. As I could imagine, Danish and German fans clashing against each other, basically. Though there is a German stream right now running as well. So probably the majority of them over there. Talking about the majority, well, Optic sent basically 5 players close to middle. The only one who's a little off the pack is Nico, who's equipped with a UMP-45, the German submachine gun in his hands. Could find 1 or 2. I mean, the helmet penetration is quite uncomfortable. Searson, ouch. That's not... What? He got double dinged. 1 actually through the door and 1 in between. Lovely to watch. But as Searson is getting a lot of attention, it's all coming down over to the B site. And that bomb planted any second soon. No real problem that seems to occur. Flawless, you could pretty much say, which is no real surprise if we see what Optic has in their hands. And does too. I think it's worth mentioning how the track record of Sprout looks. And I mean, this is the perfect and ideal moment. Sprout playing this map 15 times and win it at 11 out of 15, with results against Nordavind, Optic, Havu, LDLC, all positive, which is quite good for me. So, I mean, Optic and Sprout recently played against each other. That best of 3 series, by the way, went in favor of Sprout. That back then was the open qualifier for ESL 1 New York. Back then was a 16-10 for Sprouts, with Searson actually leading the pack together with Speedy. Back then also Tassis was playing, just to point that one out. So Optic with this lineup have once lost. This is time for the revenge. Sprout setting them up very, very patiently. Fabian hopes for a player to stand behind the box, so he throws a very, very deep molly with then shooting through afterwards. But here comes the run boost, and German Space Program is sending MSL to hell. Out of the server for the moment, but the Molotov not allowing them any further access. Optic aiming, shifting a more passive style. Config gives Sprout a bit more room to take middle. He's not entirely denying that he's still in charge of that position. Yet again, into window, you don't have the same opportunities. Yet again, Speedy lurking around, trying to get a few players to lurk and more likely pay attention to the A side. Pardon that, said in the wrong way. Nevertheless, that didn't really pay off, and now they're in a narrow path. Config is there to start things off good, and he's the only one holding the castle over there on B, but he's forced out of that position. The molly is burning him down nearly, goes up elevated. Searson then eliminating him. And it's not worth wasting an AWP and an AUG for 2 narrow choke points. The B side so uncomfortable. A guy like BlameF probably wouldn't even fit for the doors in real life. Crowd over here on the T sites. Get a 4th round. With Optic winning 57% of the rounds over on the CT side. With, for example, wins against NIP and Fnatic, 16-14 against Avantgarde. Most definitely extremely decent teams. So Tassis and Nico keep the weapons, make it work in the next one. They could still buy up, but I mean, MSL and Refresh you might see on an MP9 with a bit of utility, except Tassis and Nico are going to drop, which would seem very reasonable, of course. MSL's getting that AWP, AUG on 2, the 3rd. FAMAS dropped, yeah. A proper buy as expected. That's not very nice. Jesus Christ. Searson, before the round even really started, he's dealing 78 and 53. 87, pardon that. We Germans have a very weird manner of counting. Can explain it another time. Optic. They were fighting quite hard on Mirage, couldn't make it. Doing a decent job, especially on the T side of Nuke. Successfully finished that one off. So Sprout. 3 out of 5 from the Speedy crew, just waiting to exit along. And if Tassis is going to make the difference, we're going to see it right now. As he is blinded, finds Murbit though as he's trying to run through. And Nico there with a perfect support flash that might allow Tassis to get a little further than that. Yet again, he's under pressure. And that molly, oh, it's going to force him out to the other side. Frag could be granted. Tassis standing in the flames. And in the meantime, he still finds kills. That bomb is now out in the open and publicly dropped for Searson to now take it. 40 seconds, which means Speedy will turn things around quite massively. Moves over short. Realistically speaking, Nico with a one-tap would end his life. Pretty much doing that. Sprout gotta accept defeat for the first time. Round number 5 going there for Optic, as the 2 weapons they brought through somewhat made the change in their entire ecosystem, and therefore brought them that far. But money is not looking too bad on the Germans. And a man who has been performing outstanding in this qualifier so far, Murbit, is somewhat missing out so far. 0 frags on him. No real damage dealt. But I mean, we're just at the beginning of those 2. Things can change rapidly. While Sprout is not choosing a really rapid pace. Optic remain extremely calm. I mean, we've seen it on Nuke as well. He has never really over-aggressed. MSL, he's going just a bit out in the open and is losing his head entirely. Needs to collect the brain mass just behind him over there in short. So Searson and Keto, they take mid with ease. And that means Optic gotta make it work with only 3, while Sprout are not immediately pushing to the B side. Those smokes seem indicative of such a take. And again, different call coming in. And this is interesting. You see Murbit suddenly being very hesitant in front of the long doors. Some call must have been made. They play it differently. Here comes the flashbang, and Tessus, it didn't really seem like there was much impact on him. Retreats and hopes for support, which immediately comes. That will be config and refresh. Switching over the sides just as swift as possible. The flashbang is helpful to some degree, but Murbit down to 1 and Keto to 49. The AWK can do it. As mid-air he takes Keto, not really. Looked promising. But yet again, the AWK is no wonder weapon all the time. Gotta defend it. With config eliminate and refresh. He has 3.9 left in his bank account, but you don't really need to waste it. And as I say, Faven is hunting down anyway. Sprout only leave a single opportunity for Optic. And I remember I had this conversation back in Copenhagen during the Copenhagen Games with their coach, Toby, who's an amazing guy. I can really just give him big props. Where he said, and of course he said a lot of details, but briefly, sometimes just Sprout suffers from the nervosity, the nervous sort of manner they get in at one point where everything starts to collapse, and you know, then it's this entire spiral. But they've been working on it. I mean, the success of Sprout, once they switched the players to be a fully German roster, it was amazing. They basically swapped the mentality. They swapped their entire playstyle. Speedy used to IGL at Mouse for the ending period as far as I know, and now officially does it on the Sprout side of things. I mean, surely they are now missing a pivotal aspect with Dennis, not just only in the fragging department, but Dennis used to also mid-round call from time to time, if I recall it correctly. Yet again, leading 5-1, and Sprout, they're tempted. They're allured into taking this A site. "45 seconds gotta do a decision. You gotta make a decision right now. Decide where you want to lean to. Leave the bomb in lower tunnels, probably to Sirison, who then joins. Speedy dodges the bullets coming for CT. And that is going to be a coordinated take. One towards car, one back on site. And it's both who need to prevail. It's only Config who stands a chance, but immediately eliminated, and the bomb therefore hits the ground fast. Merbit planting the bomb. And that is the cue for Optic to possibly retreat. $150 left in the bank account of the Danes. Altogether, great losing bonus, 3.4k, surely great to have, and this is allowing Optic in the next one to once more get a full buy, because as the majority should survive, they can drop to Config and refresh, so they're not just there with a scrappy 3.4 where you could buy like an MP9 full armor, or FAMAS in full armor, technically speaking. Enemy advanced stats. The show is Speedy, Keto, and Sirison being successful in all the opening duels we have seen so far. Tessa's funny-wise for Optic was the one that eliminated Merbit twice. A man who unfortunately failed so far is yet a pivotal aspect to the Sprout setup. And I remember in the German scene, some people at one point, because Merbit used to be, and now a little bit of German CS history, Merbit used to be in the same lineup with Faven back at Euronics Gaming, and both were on the top end back when they played with Crispy, Kazuya, and Cressy, as they all went different ways. So Merbit, ever since, dropped down in performance. I mean, that is just simply because he has swapped roles ever since. The time he was in Euronics, also the competition was a little bit different. I mean, his average rating so far in Sprout has been 1.02, back at Euronics 1.11. Clear difference, yet again back then. Sprout, apart from Merbit himself, just played different competition and played a different role in the team. As he now has been more in a supportive slash lurk sort of position. He, of course, is changed up. Now Config could change up Sprout, and he does it somewhat massively. Sirison found, then he thought like that's gonna be it. Not another player coming in, but Keto directly slapped his face, though it could be Tessa's. Now puts him in a pressure situation. Talking about it, Merbit finally with the first. And he alone wants a little more, but can he prevail against the Arc? No chance indeed. Second for Optic. Finally they can breathe through. They don't want to be in that situation. It's sinister, it's dark, it's uncomfortable. Should probably become a German CS expert at one time, but then I realized I just don't know enough about German CS. Slide in my DMs if you want to know more about Sprouts. Either way, in the meantime, that's gonna be brutal. One hat found. Config left on the site to be the sole survivor, but the last pillar of defense shot down to 3 points of health, and he's golden. He's not seeing a thing. And Nico's nades is gonna surely inflict damage to Merbit. Yet again, Optic need to consider if they're actually intending, if they're even attempting to go for this. And obviously, nah. Not gonna happen. Safety first, if that was a legit thing to say. And Speedy's lurk. This is funny, because I remember in February of 2019, we saw Merbit doing a lot of those lurks, and usually not sticking with the pack, whilst now we see this happening from Speedy. I could be horribly wrong on the one hand, on the other I'm fairly sure. That's very interesting. Well, they know what they're doing. And Tassis praying to the Lord that he's gonna survive, even taking down 2 other Germans. The T-side economy is not really benefiting from that, because at that point on, they could have obtained a bit bigger buffer. Talking about Sprout real quick. The recent wins they have picked up have put them in a quite good position. Optic's change in player was a little unexpected. Many have not heard about Tessus, who used to play at Golden Gitta before. If I remember correctly, it was also the player we're going to see later. What was his name? It was from Tricked. He also came from the Golden Get the Farm. Siush. I think Siush also was part of that roster. And is now in the Hunden school, obviously. And Sprout, with amazing long control, trying to make it work over there. The only real issue I see coming is Config, and as he sneaks in from behind, Searson eliminated. A few more heads to find Murbert with the correct reaction though, and instantly they got him on the radar to eliminate the possible, and one of the only threats with Tassa shooting through. He now announced himself publicly, the molly goes his way, and Faven says, no, I'm not interested in any of your business. So good luck at fun refresh. The man on, unfortunately, 7 deaths and 0 kills, inspecting his CZ. That hopefully he's going to be the tool for his first one. They got to get some morale, they got to get some motivation out of this, because Sprout is in the driver's seat of the Porsche 911, left lane autobahn between Munich and Stuttgart, and they just drive in the middle of the night 300 kilometers an hour. On the right hand side, in the right hand lane, Optic with the family van honking at them. Not so fast. You know, if I would have a co-caster, it would sound a lot better. But personal record, Munich, Stuttgart, 1 hour and 27 minutes. The Germans know what I'm talking about. So, try that. Either way, very enjoyable time to go Munich, Stuttgart at 127. That's a different story, though. But it's basically Sprout doing that. Because they're high speed in this, the casualties in the last few rounds were a little uncomfortable. We saw it especially when Tessa's over on long got Sprout from 4 down to 2. But yet again, they so far make short work of Optic. And Dust 2, a map where I would say you have to try a more rudimentary approach of Counter-Strike. Seems to be 100% fine for Sprout. MSL with a brilliant peek falls down, unfortunately. Not quite sure if that was intended. Looked like he just fell off the edge. But they're frag number 1. Oh, Config. No visuals over the edge. Couldn't identify a silhouette. Searson with a second frag, possibly. He strikes. And that is the lightning coming down on the A side. MSL would be the man to turn things around and give Optic the number 3. But as he's afraid and intimidated that the long lurker is just about to expose himself, he's wrong. All down to just A. The nades are flying, the support is called, and the cavalry is arriving in the form of Config. As he, though, is eliminated, same goes for MSL, dies at the head of the Mercedes. And Refresh, saving yet again. Another round where he is not able to obtain any security or anything successful. And Sprout, they don't leave Optic any chance. And I have to say, Optic played awesome Counter-Strike on the first map, failed though in the end. Then you actually see them playing Nuke, and on the CT side, it feels like home soil basically, right? Yet again, failure coming in. And that's the way it is. So unlucky. But at the end, Sprout just plays the better Counter-Strike, period. This Optic is there with only 2 rounds. They're trying very hard. They're putting everything into this. And I mean, there were a few rounds that got quite tight. With shots like this, you make it possible. Beautifully done by Tasses. But again, bomb has hit the ground. Optic got no kits. And, I mean, exit frags would be brilliant. Right now, demolishing the Sprout economy bit by bit. And Sprout. There you go. Find at number 10. And quickly just mentioning that, because maybe a bit more of the casual fans are not so sure, is this map actually T or CT sided? Well, Dust 2 is basically 50-50, or to be 100% accurate, 50.1 to 49.9 in the last 3 months in a competitive map pool, with both Sprout and Optic more leaning towards the CT sites. And that is where you can start to be worried as an Optic fan. 57% of the rounds Optic has ever played in the last 3 months on this map were won on the CT site. And with such a mistake incoming from Config, who dealt major damage but not found a kill, it's saddening. Trying to take mid control. Sprout capitalizing on then the B side aggression would be brilliant, because Optic focused more on long, and that puts it to a very hairy spot for the man refresh. But he waits, doesn't shoot a bullet yet, looks for the first, finally finds it. But Tessus and MSL seem like there's not a single chance for them. The wallbang nearly came in, but MSL accuracy with the op is there, and this makes it all somewhat possible. As though Sirison waits for the drop, saw him immediately. And Tessus once more considers, but saving the op is reasonable, is logical, and the better idea. Turning around and hearing the steps, he most definitely doesn't want to be taken out, but the op from Sirison strikes, all looking good. Nothing grim for Sprout. And timeout number 2, it is. Quick look at the scoreboards. Merbit has recovered from being on 0 frags, by the way, and Refresh not so much. 30 ADR and 41 over the course of 14 rounds. And the saddening part is, brutally honest, the utility damage seems under average for being on the CT side. You would expect a little more. I mean, 86 here is quite okay. And the rest, it's not what you were looking for. An Optic, if they get 4 rounds, then it would be all possible, really. If they really find themselves with a 4-11, then I see a good chance for them. I mean, a good chance is a 4-11 really badly phrased. But let's say extremely possible. Very possible. I'm gonna put it on very possible. Talking about that, Sirison slaps away Nico from that position. The A side only supported by MSL at this point in time. There's all the utility thrown. A side it's gonna be MSL hoping that he can do something over the ledge on short, and he could be the hero Optic needs. Only finds Faven, and that is not according to plan. Sad story as this drama continues for Optic. The Titanic is sinking in front of the shore of Germany, hitting the iceberg called Sprout, and that ship is falling down. There it goes. This too becomes the pandemonium of Optic. Bruce, they're laying on the ground, and Sprout is kicking into them again and again and again. Whilst Optic, it's not like they're not fighting. You can't say that. That would not be fair. Suddenly the Germans coming in with the auto snipers. That's already disgusting. Speedy waits for a mistake from Config. Smoke. It's going to deny him any further vision. So, Sprouts all shown us that they had a lot of money, flexed on us. From Merbit being ready for a push over on long. Optic got to play it with 4. It doesn't get better. It's not looking sunny. The clouds are raising over Optic. What? MSL just pushes through. I mean, he didn't see the smoke in time. I accept that, but his teammate was just killed in front of long. And that looks extremely painful for Optic. Config those strikes! And he takes down 2 as needed. Suddenly, round number 15 could be the third. We just need to see what Merbit is about to do. Most definitely saw the utility coming his way. Sabot. Is he gonna sabotage that round number 3 for Optic? I don't think so. He could put the smoke down to grab the bomb. Config though goes in the room between and is gonna take him out. Sprout though successfully here with 12 rounds overall. They present their dominance. And nobody was really able so far to come in with an amazing performance, an outstanding performance. We now need to see from Optic. As the lovely Mitch said earlier, Sprout tends to fall once one opponent is actually going ham, becoming the Terminator himself. And while Optic, they need to see I'll be back. If they don't say that one, it's gonna go south very soon. And round number 16 could be all in. It could be just all over and done. Merbit flash, looks for an entry, but Optic with all the Glocks might just put the bullets in the right direction. He sees that a few bullets are coming his way very disgustingly. Oh, Merbit taking his time with that, but Refresh finally eliminated. As though Config chimes in, bomb to be planted and denied. Serious on 1 tap and Tess is out of this world. The Sproutlings seem to go in the right direction. They seem to go in the right direction. They know where MSL is. 10-second defuse from Sirson. He goes over long. And I'm somewhat intimidated because the guy with the kit is not defusing. Yet again, Sirson with 1 more second is going to do it anyway. Oof, that was close. So, even a final frag coming in. Ouch. They're fighting, but it's worthless, unfortunately. And there you see really 3 players over 90 ADR, Sirson, Speedy, and Keto. With massive impact, you could say. Sprout, they're now even playing on their better sides. Optic wants to go for that 1 tap. Would love to see this. Yet again, he's failing to do so. That's an aggressive duel, and Sirson is not dead. He really was surviving it. Merbit's aggression over long could be punished anytime soon, though. Optic's focus, obviously, on middle, where they now have the options to either do the B sort of flank, go over shorts, with now the point man being MSL. Decision might have been made. This Sprout has no read on it. You see, they majorly focus on mid or B. And Optic, they might just do a brilliant job with this. Speedy needs to hold it down on his own, finds one at least, and Merbit in the meantime is there to react as well, but Timo Richter has no real chance. That means that situation is only coming down to an MP9. Oh, Guido! He was a 9 HP! Tassis would have needed a single body hit on him. That's so weird. They looked like they had it in control. They were really good with taking that site. They were really decently making it over short with everybody of Sprout having a bit of a wrong read. I mean, or a bit of a wrong focus, to put it that way. Yet again, Optic failed to obtain control in the long run. They failed after they annexed the site to hold it down and not let anyone trespass. And as I try to go through middle, Faven can only get one out of it. Kito's there to strike. Second is granted! My goodness, Greedo! More like Keto, but I mean, as the way he greets Optic Gaming, yeah, he's Greedo now. And greedy for the frack as well. Refresh punishing him, but immediate refrack coming to give Sprout number 15. I don't believe this. I honestly don't believe it. Optic nearly dead. Can't phrase it another way. Fortunately failed during so many pushes, so many aggressions, and in the meantime, we're not able to build up a solid defensive system. The way we looked at them on Nuke was amazing. They have done just a brilliant job, but now Faven is mowing them down. The German meat grinder is going to get some fresh Nürnberger Würstle out of them, and so Faven is looking desperately for a little more. Goes out of the smoke anytime soon to possibly get a quad as he hears the AK shots directly above him, rather retreats. No unnecessary risk, it seems to be. But a 5v2. And Optic might need to say bye-bye to the possibility of a major. Merbit sees an opponent low HP, one shot, one kill. Even puts it in the head. And Refresh, he's out! 16-3, and that is brutal domination coming in from Sprout. Congratulations to the Germans. Sehr gut gemacht und Gratulation dazu. Well done from them. And while we're heading into a little break, we're going to see Ancient versus Tricked in just a bit. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Exclamation mark caster is your command to find out more about the voice behind it. And so, we're going to be right back.
Charge up your game with excitement. Highest odds on the market. Coverage of all live and pre-match events. Place your bets with Solid Bookmaker and win with your favorite teams. Take what's rightfully yours with GG.com.